What's going on, guys? It's Houston Sports Talk back in the video today, and today we're going to be talking about how the Houston Texans hiring Sean Payton would change everything for this organization. As as we get more into this head coaching process for the Houston Texans, the chances for us to get Sean Payton go up and up, with it looking like the Chargers will not be firing. Would not be firing Brandon Staley, head coach, which that was one of Sean Payton's number one destinations to want to go to. And then also the Cowboys beating the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in the wild card, and Jerry Jones pretty much confirming that they will not be firing Mike McCarthy. His two most spots that he wanted to go to are not available. And so from there on, you leave the head coach candidates for Sean Payton down to Houston, Houston, and Carolina. If I could be, honest with you guys, out of, who has the best future out of those three teams right now, I would say the Texans. Obviously, I think the Broncos would be the best team if Sean Payton came to their staff. But if, let's say, next season with Bryce Young as the quarterback, and you're drafting a wide receiver, I have the Texans drafting Jalen Hyatt. You have the 12th overall pick. In that case, and let's say the Broncos do not get Sean Payton as their head coach. Let's just say, like, Sean Payton makes a sudden decision and he's staying with Fox for another year, and he's not going to be hired. He's not going to be going anywhere for a head coaching job, right? And the three teams, the Texans, the Panthers, and the Broncos, how do they do with their new head coaches? None of them have Sean Payton. All of them, Russell Wilson. Russell Wilson probably has a better year. Who knows who the head coach is? But I think Bryce Young, excels. I think that he shows some good potential. If I'm Sean Payton, I've been watching a lot of film of Bryce Young the last couple weeks, and I see a lot of when I watch Bryce, I see a lot of Drew Brees in him. And if Sean Payton has watched this kid, I think he knows that, just the way that Drew Brees moves in the pocket just looks like Drew Brees. And it's kind of funny how he has the same number too. But it's like, for me, it's like baseball wise, when I watch the Astros, their new pitcher, Hunter Brown, you literally, if you compare him to Justin Verlander, they're doing the same thing. They're doing the same things because that's how he that's how he worked, and that's how he mimicked his game off of Justin Verlander. It kind of feels like Bryce Young has kind of mimicked his game after Drew Brees, and I see the potential in Bryce Young, and I just see the overall outcome. I think I'm not going to say he can be as good as Drew Brees, because Drew Brees is one of the best quarterbacks of all time, but what I can say is he plays like Drew Brees. I think he reminds me a lot of like Drew Brees. I think if anyone asks me for a comparison of Bryce Young, I'm going to say Drew Brees. I think that's who he's most like in this league, and I think he has a lot of potential, and I think that's one of the reasons why Sean Payton might want to come here, because Sean Payton, maybe it was one season when he was without Drew Brees, and then he went to Fox, but it was it was one season without his buddy Drew Brees. And you could tell there was something he was missing, and it was Drew Brees, and because Drew retired, and I think that Bryce Young could be his new guy. Russell Wilson, he's up in age, and does Sean Payton really want to take a chance on that? I don't know. I think also you got to look at the defense that is rising up in this league for the Houston Texans with Jalen Petrie, Jonathan Grenard. What statement seasons they had with a pick six for John Grenard at the end of the season. In the last game, Jalen Petrie, rookie, had like 5 interceptions this season, led the team in tackles. He was amazing, even though he wasn't healthy for the second half of the season. But Derek Stingley Jr. showed some really good potential in the first half of the season with a pick. Didn't allow any touchdowns. If he did, it was one. He's going to be really good when he's healthy. There's some other good pieces of this defense. I think also what would be a game changer if the Texans added in Sean Payton would be, how better this team is. Because he's not only a good coach in game, but his hiring would lack on more people coming onto this organization, and he would really bring more people into this organization. I think it would draw a lot of interest from free agents. I'm not going to say anything, but I think that possibly if Sean Payton were to come here, I think maybe Michael Thomas would be interested in coming to play with the Houston Texans, play with Bryce Young, reunite with reunite with Sean Payton. I think that I think that he would draw a lot of interest from free agents if he were to come to Houston. And yeah, but there's a consequence that the Houston Texans have to take from this potential hiring is that you lose a draft pick. Now this was so weird when I found out this, but we have to trade for Sean Payton because I think it's because he's still under contract with the Saints. And he was on Sean Payton himself was on the Colin Cowherd show the other day, and he said that he's talked with the Saints GM, and they're looking for a middle to 20s draft pick, first round pick, and so yeah. And the Texans have the 12th overall pick, but is that 12th overall pick? Are you willing to give that up for Sean Payton? And when I first thought about this, my first intention was no. I'm like, you're giving up basically a top 10 draft pick because it's 12, and there's a lot of talent in this year's draft, so it's basically like a top 10 pick. You're giving up a top 10 talent for a head coach, and that just seems a little, stupid. But I've thought about it, and it's not a bad idea. And here's why: because Sean Payton will make these players better. He's not going to come here messing around. He's going to kick ass and take names. He's not going to mess around here. And if he's coming here, he's coming here to win. He's going to show that to Bryce Young. Now I think that Sean Payton, I think he might know that it's going to take a while here. I think he knows that it might take a season, but I think he knows that this team has potential with a crappy division. I mean, he said that on the Colin Cowherd show. He said, of course I have to consider it with all the draft picks they have and the young talent, and especially how they're not in that talented division besides the Jags. So yeah, do I think he comes here? I doubt it, but I think he definitely does consider it, which is, in my opinion, I think with Bryce Young, I think the Texans have the best potential between, the Broncos and the Panthers. Because the Panthers, if they land a quarterback in this year's draft, which I doubt they do, which I could see them doing, but if they do, it's going to be like Will Levy's. And he's all right, but I just don't see him being that great of a player. And then not only that, but then the Broncos, there's just so much to, maybe consider about that. And also with the Broncos, I'll get to this in a second. With the Broncos, Sean Payton wants Vic Fangio, former Broncos head coach, to be his defensive coordinator. How do the Broncos make that work? That's the question. Do the Broncos, are they willing to bring Fangio back as a defensive coordinator? I don't know. That's weird to me. And then with the Panthers just doesn't make sense to me because I'm not 100% sure on this, but I bet the Saints can decline a trade. And why would the Saints send Sean Payton to a division rival? Because what happens is, after that, is just like it would have happened if he went to Houston, players will want to go to Carolina or get traded to Carolina, or some players will be interested in going to Carolina because Sean Payton is there as the head coach. So why would the Saints want to send that to a division rival? I don't understand that at all. Now, I think Sean Payton, while they're being in Denver and Houston, Carolina just doesn't make sense for me at all. It doesn't. Because I think the Saints have a say where he goes. I'm not too sure about that, but what I do know is that Why would the Saints send them to a divisional rival? If Tom Brady leaves this team, the Buccaneers, next year, then the Saints have a good chance of winning the division next year. I don't think the Falcons really have a chance, and it comes down to the Panthers and the Saints. Just depends on who's the quarterback for each team. How if the Saints are staying healthy, who is Dennis Allen still the Saints head coach? Who's the Panthers head coach? It's all depending on that. But why would that would literally just eliminate the Saints season, because the Panthers would win that division and the Saints would lose it. I don't know. And then you have to deal with Sean Payton for future years to come. I don't know why the Saints would send the Panthers to a division rival. I don't understand it, but I do know that if the Texans would land Sean Payton, it would change everything in their team, in their organization, in the future. And Bryce Young would better off with Sean Payton as their head coach. And I think, in my opinion, the 12th pick is worth it, because in the second round you can just draft a wide receiver. You can draft Jalen Hyatt with the 34th pick. I think he has a lot of potential in this NFL. In the NFL, he reminds me a lot like DK Metcalf. I think he can be really good for the Houston Texans and Bryce Young. You guys, let me know what you guys think about Houston Texans potentially hiring Sean Payton. Let me know where you think he will go. Texans, Panthers, or Broncos. Which one do you guys think? And peace out. Go Texans.